So I will take literally any excuse to wear this. What's up, guys? Welcome to a new video, and today you guys were actually supposed to be seeing a very different video, but then I got blessed with this news story and I decided I had to talk about it. And if you can't tell what we're going to be talking about, it obviously has to do with Harry Potter. And we're going to be talking about the fact that Harry Potter books were removed from St. Edward Catholic School in Tennessee due to curses and spells at the recommendation, allegedly, of an exorcist. That's right, an exorcist. So the history of Harry Potter versus the church in general has gone back pretty much as long as Harry Potter's been a thing. I remember watching Jesus Camp, and there was that one kid whose parents were divorced because apparently that was okay, but Harry Potter wasn't. But either way, there was that one kid whose parents were divorced, and when he stayed with the other parent, that parent let him read Harry Potter, and everybody looked at him like he was a social pariah. I've known people who grew up whose parents were iffy about their kids reading Harry Potter because of the witchcraft and the negativity and the things that it would influence in them, you know? Stupid people. But it's not hard to understand why religion would kind of see it in this way, because in 2003, the at the time Cardinal, but then future Pope Benedict, described the books as subtle seductions which act unnoticed by this deeply distort Christianity in the soul before it can grow properly. They specifically try to say that Harry Potter prevented people from gaining a good sense of good and evil and morality, because just because if the characters are acting moral in the book and they're talking about good and evil and they're on the good side and they talk about the fact that, you know, it's worth fighting injustices out there, just the fact that it's witchcraft negates all the things that are actually thematically in the book and makes it demon fodder, obviously. But it's kind of been years since I've experienced any of that genuine criticism from that side of things, but it's back and it's blessing us all. So let's kind of look into this story a little bit and explain how and why. So as of right now, children from the St. Edward Catholic School in Nashville, Tennessee will no longer be able to check out the popular Harry Potter books from the school's library. And it's not just because of the themes, and it's not just because they think that it might encourage them to seek out, you know, things like Satanism over the Christian church or anything like that. It's like, no. They actually think that they could use the spells for real. So here's something from the email that was sent out by Reverend Dan Rehill, who is a pastor. Wait, is he a reverend or is he a pastor? Either way, at the Roman Catholic Parish School. So he wrote, "These books present magic as both good and evil, which is not true, but in fact, a clever deception. The curses and spells used in the books are actually curses and spells, which when read by a human being, risk conjuring evil spirits into the presence of the person reading the text." I think my man's here needs some psychological help. Okay, look, if the spells in Harry Potter were real, someone would have found out by now. That whole franchise is worth billions, like multiple billions of dollars. Somebody would have found out by now that if you started uttering some of the spells and curses in Harry Potter, they would actually do something to another human being. This is ridiculous. Maybe my man's here thought that he could actually learn some of these powers, and then when it didn't work out for him, he decided just to tell everybody that it wasn't allowed so that no one else would beat him to it. So I guess he went on to say in the email that he consulted several exorcists in the United States and Rome who recommended removing the books. Right, I forgot. They actually believe in things like exorcisms. Of course they believe that the magic in Harry Potter is real. So a publication in Tennessee, I believe, was the first to break this story, and they specifically said that the pastor was out of office until this coming Wednesday, but that the superintendent, Rebecca Hamill, confirmed that he sent out this email about removing the books. And that while there has been a lot of uproar over the years about Harry Potter, the Catholic Church doesn't specifically have a stance on Harry Potter books, but they leave it up to like individual school pastors to make the final decision. And in this case, they got the most insane pastor of all. So Rebecca Hamill goes on to say, each pastor has canonical authority to make such decisions for his parish schools. He's well within his authority to act in that matter. I still think it's dumb as hell to remove books from a library. I love Harry Potter. I realize that J.K. Rowling's kind of like fallen off her rocker with what she's doing when she's writing these Fantastic Beasts movies and talking about wizards pooping in hallways and stuff before there was plumbing and all that kind of stuff. But those core books will always mean so much to me, as well as the movies, but the book specifically will always mean so much to me and my childhood and growing up. And I just find the fact that the overwhelming message of the books is really just to be better, and it's to fight dark forces, like literal dark forces. It doesn't really leave much up to the imagination there. It helps kids deal with really serious concepts like death and abandonment and abuse. And then on top of that, it's just fun. It's just a great experience. You get transported away to a different reality. It's clearly inspired an entire world of psychos that will go out and buy full outfits. This isn't even everything I have for this. But for the ultra religious, like, it kind of made sense that they weren't okay with it. But to find out this added level of ultra religious, where not only do they just think that it's bad to encourage kids to think that, like, witchcraft is cool.
And had it been in the Old Testament, Harry Potter would have been put to death.
Or to encourage the characters as heroes because they practice witchcraft and all that stuff, that's one thing. But to take it a step further and say, look, they try to portray that there's good and bad magic in these books, but in reality, it's all bad. And if you keep doing this kind of stuff, like, you can make real bad things manifest within the world. And if you don't believe me, I consulted an exorcist. Multiple exorcists. I refuse to believe that this is real. And the thing that I find so shocking about this is that not only did one person come up with this idea, but one person came up with this idea, went out and found other people that agreed with him, and then actually sent it out to a wide base of people as if it wasn't the most insane thing in the world. If this person wasn't a pastor or a reverend, wouldn't we all be kind of questioning I am questioning their mental sanity, but wouldn't that be like the first thing you'd be wondering is, like, are you okay everywhere? Like, is everything okay in your life? Because, like, the average person on the street saying this kind of stuff would be recommended the swiftest mental care. And if anything, all this is gonna do is stop a lot of kids from reading and learning to read. I know so many people who didn't like reading before they started reading Harry Potter, and then they got into it. And you can say the same things about comic books. Sometimes, hey, books, if you don't like reading, you're not good at it, books might be a little bit too daunting. Comic books can help people get into that realm. And then something like Harry Potter, where you can have the movies and then encourage kids to want to read that way, to be like, wow, there's a lot of stuff that's not in the movies, it's in the book. Don't you want to know what happened? You can get people to read that way. And it's just such a big franchise that has impacted so many lives across the globe that, if anything, you're just removing a lot of people's incentive to read and their excitement to read. And the fact that you're going to demonize something that people get excited about that's not harmful in the slightest is really sickening to me. I think I'm joking about it and I'm memeing on it, but this kind of stuff actually makes me sad. It's like when I found out that a lot of high schools were banning To Kill a Mockingbird, which is just such an educational book from a time point in history that is just as relevant now as it was back then, just because they think some of the terms and things used in it are going to be a little bit too sensitive or that people shouldn't be encountering. It doesn't stop the fact that it exists, but it does provide a context for people to learn more from and to be better people, instead of just trying to hide it and cover it up and pretend that it didn't happen, which doesn't seem to help anything. And while she's trying to say that this isn't something that they would encourage at home, to encourage parents not to do it, the fact that they sent an email specifically saying they were removing it from the library and the reasons why they were removing it from the library, there are parents out there that just think, the church is God. The pastor's rule is God. That's why you end up with a lot of these situations where people can abuse their power, because people don't question things from certain sources. So it's just really sad. She specifically said, should parents deem that this or any other media to be appropriate, we would hope that they would just guide their sons and daughters to understand the content through the lens of our faith. Okay, little Timmy, you can read Harry Potter, but if you do any witchcraft and wizardry, you're going straight to hell. So basically, there is a man right now in a high position of power that thinks that by saying Avada Kedavra and pointing a stick, we go all out here, and pointing a stick of wood at somebody is going to kill them. Or that there's, you use the other unforgivable curses, that it'll actually do something. And I get it. In their mind, it's just like, oh wow, she included some horrible torture and killing curses. That's horrible. Except for the whole fact that you're not allowed to do them. They're literally unforgivable curses. They're not just illegal. It's literally seen as the most immoral thing you can do or use. And they talk about that a lot. And if anything, it's showing you that, hey, look, there are people that have morals and people that don't have morals. Wow, what else talks about morality? The Bible. But either way, hopefully this calms down and doesn't like reignite that trend of just hating on Harry Potter books by religious communities. Because I think it was like, yeah, according to this, for the Library Association list, the most frequently challenged books, Harry Potter was on it from the year 2000 to 2009. I don't know if that means it dropped off right now or if they just haven't made a new list for, 2010 to 2019, obviously, because that's where we are right now. But I think it had, as far as I know, it had calmed down. Obviously, the books aren't still coming out. But anyways, that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments section down below. I hope you all enjoyed. Have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you all later.